Welcome! In this video we'll take off from Philadelphia International Airport, Pennsylvania, and fly the short flight to John F. Kennedy Airport, New York. We'll climb to 17,000 feet and join the Cameron for arrival. We'll set up for the RNAV Yankee approach to runway for right at Kennedy and proceed to fly the approach. We're lined up on runway 9 right and just been cleared for takeoff, so let's jump in and head to Kennedy.
Knots.
Airline pilots consider an approach either an ILS approach or non-ILS approach. The setup for either type is mostly similar with some additional steps in the case of a non-ILS approach. VNAV will be used to fly the approach. It will meet each altitude on the approach, flying in a continuous descent, without leveling. Looking at the arrival, we have a crossing restriction of 250 knots and 11,000 feet at Cameron. The restriction at Hogs won't apply as our cruise altitude is already lower. Let's set up for the approach using the briefing strip, working left to right. To prevent erroneous or distracting indications during the approach, we set a frequency that isn't an ILS approach frequency on both sides. We create a 2-mile ring around the final approach fix for situational awareness. We set a flaps 30 reference speed and select auto brakes too. Here are two differences to an ILS approach. Go to prog page 4 and change the RNP to the value on the chart if shown, or else to 125. Then go back to prog page 1. Select navigation status, go to page 2, and turn off VOR update. Read the chart notes, checking for any condition that might prevent us flying this approach. We will be using NAV and VNAV during the approach, so our minimums will be 369 feet. We check the runway length is sufficient, and review the likely taxi route, which in this case will require crossing one or more runways. An approach brief would take place between both pilots to identify threats on the approach and to discuss how the approach will be flown, likely taxi route, and if necessary the missed approach. We're now cleared on passing Cameron to proceed to Veru. As Cameron is not on the navigational display, we can check the FMC change is what we want by going into plan mode and stepping through to Cameron. The route edit is shown as a dashed line until executed. With the approach set up and briefed, the workload in the descent is low. The descent checklist can be completed. We have a tailwind, so we'll bear this in mind as ideally we want to be fully configured by the final approach fix. The flight spoilers are already extended, however we'll need to slow down to extend the flaps as we get closer to the airport. As we are below 270 knots, lowering the gear would be an option. The additional drag would quickly reduce our speed to within the flap speed range. Speed is now at our discretion, so let's bug 220 knots. This is above the flaps up speed. Once we are below 240 knots, well within the maximum speed for flaps 1, we'll start extending flaps. The pilot flying keeps prog page for selected during the approach. We now set 180 knots and continue to add flaps as we slow down. Once the gear is extended and flaps 15 selected, we can bug our VREF approach speed, plus 5 knots. When cleared for the approach, 400 feet can be set on the MCP. This is the minimum altitude permitted on this approach, rounded up to the next 100 feet. We no longer need flight spoilers extended, so we set the lever to the armed position, so they'll deploy on touchdown. At some point during the approach, we can recall the steps in the event of a missed approach, such as what flaps to call for. As we approach the final approach fix, we can check the gear is down, the flaps are set, and verify we are in VNAV path. Crossing the final approach fix, the altimeters are cross-checked to ensure they are within 100 feet of each other. Another check is made that VNAV path is still active. When we're at least 300 feet below the missed approach altitude, we can set the missed approach altitude on the MCP. The 1,000 feet call is a good cue to check the missed approach altitude has been set, and the before landing checklist completed.
Approaching minimums. 400. Minimums.
Unfortunately, at minimums, we don't have visual reference to continue, and will fly the missed approach. We request the ILS approach to 4 right, which has lower minimums of 212 feet. We've set that up, and will resume the flight on short final.
400.
Thankfully, the lower minimums has resulted in gaining adequate visual reference to continue our descent and to land.
200. Minimums.
We hope you enjoyed our short flight and overview of setting up and flying a non-ILS approach. Please subscribe to learn of our future videos, when we'll further explore the 737. Thank you.